Hey guys, Alex with Rapid Fire Rundown. Today, I wanted to have a really quick topic of discussion, and that's going to be iron sights forward or behind the optic. Before we get started, please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. If you do have any video ideas, please feel free to add them to the comments down below. And in the very near future, I will have an update on those PSA mags as well as the PMM comp, which I know a lot of people have been requesting. As I said, that's kind of a focal point of my channel, but I wanted to give my opinion on iron sights, whether they are beneficial to have forward or behind the optic, as someone suggested it in the comments. Now, this is going to be a really quick video. Let's get started. So over on this table, I have a couple of different firearms, right? On the far left, 1911, 43X, or 43, 43X, MR920, then an MCX off to the left. All of this is fairly relevant, okay? So let's take a step back, right? The 1911. This is a 5-inch platform gun. This has roughly a 5-inch sight radius. The sight radius of the platform allows for greater accuracy. The larger the sight radius, technically, the more accurate you can be with said iron sights. Now, with dots, that's really not a thing anymore, right? If your dot is in, hypothetically, if it's up here, it's going to be just as accurate as it's back there. You don't need to worry about the radius between 2 points because there's only 1 point, right? So that's why I showed you guys the 1911. The 5-inch sight radius allows you to be more accurate with the platform. And if the iron sight is hypothetically up here, or if let's say the iron sights are really close to each other, about an inch apart, you're going to be less accurate with said iron sights, right? This front blade is going to take up almost the entire sight picture, really. So by that property, you're going to be less accurate. It just makes sense. Okay, moving on to the 43. The 43 over here, this is a 43X slide. This slide came from here, but for the purposes of this question or this demonstration, this has a significantly shorter sight radius. Now, this is not to say that the 43 is not an accurate firearm. You can, of course, be extremely accurate with 43 iron sights. Iron sights that are really close together, I don't have any video to show this off, but iron sights that are close together, you can still be accurate with, especially in self-defense distances. Okay? This sight radius is more than adequate. Now, moving on to really what's important in this video, it's going to be the iron sight placement before and after said optic. I'm going to show off the MR920 first. The MR920, this is my Roland build. If you're interested in a full video breakdown, I recommend you look at my first video on my channel. I love this build, okay? Anyway, the sight radius on this is long. If I compare it to my 1911, that is pretty comparable, right? Give or take about an inch, maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. The sight radius allows you to be accurate, okay? However, I also have a red dot optic on top. This red dot optic is my primary source of aiming, okay? The only time I'm ever going to use these iron sights on the MR920, which by the way are pretty fantastic, but the only time I'm ever going to use those, I'm trying to get you guys a sight picture, is if my red dot goes down. And that's just not going to happen, or at least it doesn't happen very often. Iron sights have reached a point where, or red dots have reached a point where they are incredibly reliable. Even something like Hollow Sun, right? The RMR is a legendary optic at this point for being borderline invincible. Hollow Suns are getting there too, guys. This optic's not going to go down. However, if it does, I have my iron sight that I can technically rely on. Now, the meat of this video is, of course, discussing the placement before and after. So let's get into that. Pros and cons. I'm going to talk about the conventional way first with this MR920 platform. This iron sight is behind the red dot. Now, the benefit of this is, first of all, it's widely used, right? People have been putting dots on their handguns for at least 10 years at this point. It's become a lot more popular recently, but a lot of milling companies are going to default to putting the iron sight behind said optic. The secondary pro to that is it's going to technically have a larger sight radius, which can enable you to be more accurate. Okay? But there's a caveat to that. And the caveat to that is, like I said, this is my primary optic. Okay? This is not going to go down. However, if it does, I technically have a slightly more accurate system, or a system that enables me, the user, to technically be more accurate, right? There are downsides to this, though. The downsides to having the iron sight behind the optic is how much space this iron sight takes up in the sight picture, as well as having the iron sight in front of the optic can allow you to deflect brass, or if you're doing if you need to, for whatever reason, use the optic to rack off of like a barricade, you technically have a steel standoff rather than using it on your electronic optic, right? So when I show you guys this right here, you'll see that the iron sight, even when I'm looking through the optic, and you should be shooting with both eyes open, so you should be hyperexposing that dot over your target anyway, so this isn't going to be a huge deal. But when you are presenting this red dot or green dot optic, the iron sight takes up a significant portion of that field of view. Okay? Now, as I said previously, this is my primary optic. My primary optic, I want to be as efficient as it possibly can be. Okay? So what that means is I consider this my primary sighting system. I want this to be, like I said, as efficient as it can be. My iron sights, I only want to use when I absolutely have to. All right? So that leads me to this right here. This is my 43X build that I got a comment on actually requesting this video topic, and they noticed my iron sight was in front. So what are the reasons for that? Well, I just alluded to them, but the biggest one is, well, actually, the largest one is if you go to Wager Machine, they actually won't mill the iron sight behind the optic because whatever internals are going on in here, they're not able to put it farther back, right? Or the red dot cut makes it so they have to have the iron sight forward. So that's the biggest reason, right? Is just because due to the platform, due to the size of this gun, they had to. But furthermore, the benefits of this are, like I said, when you're looking through this RMR, I'm going to try to get you guys a field of view. It's very hard. When you're looking through this RMR, do you guys see that? Do you guys see how little iron sight is being shown through that red dot? It takes up almost no window real estate, right? And this is my primary aiming tool, okay? And it's a freaking RMR too. This thing is never going to die. I want to see as little of the iron sight as possible because I'm only going to use these in worst case scenarios. Now, if you look through this, you'd probably actually say, oh, wow, those iron sights aren't tall enough. I love how short they are. They take up like maybe a millimeter in the bottom of the window. Um, so if I had to use these in a pinch, I absolutely could. Are they optimal? No, but I don't care because this dot is not going to go down. Okay. I think it's important to have iron sights on your pistol that you can use in case your sight does go down. But if I do have to have iron sights on my pistol because my sight may go down in the field or whatever have you, I want them to be as as small in the window as possible because 99.999% of the time I'm using this. Okay, so that's the first reason. Like I mentioned, my primary optic, I want this to be as unimpeded as possible. The second one is, of course, racking, okay? If I do have to rack this off of, let's say, like a belt, I don't have a demonstration here for you, but if, let's say, your hand goes down in the heat of battle, if I have to rack this off my belt or I have to rack it off a piece of wood, instead of racking my optic, and I'll show you guys that right here, right, off of a little standoff with the electronic optic, which is a lot less durable than something like a piece of steel, instead, it goes off of this ledge right here, right? That's going to prolong the life of your optic. It's going to reduce the chance of you potentially getting like scratches on your glass, right? It's just a much more rugged system. And that's about it, guys. There's really not much else to it. Like I said, what it comes down to is it has the benefit of adding that standoff between that piece of wood and your electronic optic, as well as it just takes up less real estate when you're looking through said optic. It's less distracting. The downsides, once again, are you are going to have a slightly shorter sight radius, but that's really not super important to me when this is my primary optic. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you guys really quickly, because I'm a man of my word, if I believe in this on pistols, it likely translates over to rifles, right? Here's my MCX build. Hopefully you guys can see it well, but this topic actually moves over to my MCX pretty well. So you guys asked me why iron sights in front. Well, I guess this isn't completely relevant, but like I said, this is my primary aiming tool, right? This EOTech on a riser. This is 100% priority. Okay, 99.9% of the time, this is going to be what I'm looking through. In an absolute worst case scenario, I want to be able to utilize my iron sights because I believe in your shit hit the fan rifle having iron sights. But look at my iron sights, guys. This one is fully to the back because I have the real estate, but guess what? This iron sight, people probably think I'm crazy for not having it up here. This iron sight, it's in the middle of my rifle, okay? Most people, like I said, would throw this up here, but my laser aiming device and my flat or my white light pressure pad is significantly more important than my sighting system in case my EOTech goes down, because this is very unlikely to go down, right? It's all about priorities is what it comes down to, okay? I prioritize my main sighting system as well as my main night vision system and my white light capability over my backup sighting system having a slightly more accurate, because of the longer sight radius, a slightly more accurate system, okay? So really the concept translates over to rifles for the most part. All right, well, that's all I've got for you. This video is supposed to be 3 minutes long, ended up being 12. If you have any further questions, please feel free to send them down below. If you do have a 43X build, I really recommend you go to Wager and you get basically this exact same setup. I freaking love it. I'll have an expanded review at some point in the future. PMM comp as well as PSA mag updates in the future as well. It's been a pleasure. Sound off in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you hate me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.